The unexpected encounter. In the far reaches of the galaxy, humanity had always been considered an enigma. With their rapid technological advancements and relentless drive, they had managed to carve out a small but significant presence among the stars. Yet, no one anticipated the day when humans would encounter the Xerthians, a species known for their cold logic, advanced technology, and lack of emotion. The Xerthians were revered and feared by many, but to humans, they were just another species to understand, befriend, or, if necessary, outwit. The encounter happened unexpectedly. A human exploration ship, the SS Voyager, stumbled upon a hidden Xerthian outpost on the edge of a newly discovered star system. The outpost was cloaked, hidden from all known detection methods, but the humans, with their relentless curiosity, had developed a new scanning technology that could detect even the faintest energy signatures. The Xerthians, surprised by the discovery, initially saw the humans as a threat, a primitive species that had somehow uncovered their secrets. Captain Marla Davis, the commanding officer of the SS Voyager, was quick to establish communication. Her crew was nervous, knowing the reputation of the Xerthians, but Captain Davis was determined to make contact. "This is Captain Marla Davis of the human ship Voyager," she said, her voice steady but firm. "We come in peace and wish to establish dialogue." There was a tense silence, the kind that made the crew shift uneasily in their seats. But then the Xerthians responded. Their leader, High Commander Zarek, appeared on the view screen. His appearance was striking, tall, with a pale, almost metallic complexion, and eyes that glowed with a cold, calculated light. "Humans," Zarek's voice echoed through the ship, "your presence here is unexpected and uninvited. Explain your purpose, or face the consequences." Captain Davis knew this was a critical moment. She had heard tales of the Xerthians' ruthlessness, but she also knew that fear could not guide her actions. "We discovered this system during our exploration," she replied calmly. "We are explorers, not conquerors. We wish to learn, to share knowledge, and to understand." High Commander Zarek studied her through the view screen. The tension was palpable, but Captain Davis held her ground. After what felt like an eternity, Zarek spoke again. "Your curiosity is intriguing. Very well, humans. We will allow you to land on our outpost, but be warned, any sign of deceit or aggression, and you will be eliminated." With that, the communication ended. The crew of the Voyager exhaled a collective breath they hadn't realized they were holding. Captain Davis turned to her first officer, Commander Ethan Cole, and gave a nod. "Prepare a landing party," she ordered. "We're going to meet our new friends." As the Voyager descended toward the Xerthian outpost, the crew couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and dread. The Xerthians were known for their advanced technology, far beyond anything humanity had developed. Yet, there was something more, a sense of challenge, of facing the unknown and proving that humans, too, had a place among the stars. When the landing party stepped onto the surface, they were greeted by a sterile metallic landscape. The Xerthians were waiting, their expressions unreadable. High Commander Zarek led the delegation, his presence imposing and formidable. But Captain Davis, standing tall and unyielding, knew that this was more than just a first contact. This was the beginning of something much larger, something that could change the fate of both species. "Welcome to our outpost, humans," Zarek said, his voice devoid of warmth but filled with a strange respect. "Let us see what your species is truly capable of." As they were escorted into the heart of the Xerthian facility, Captain Davis couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would lead to something far more significant than anyone could have imagined. The alliance, or perhaps the rivalry, between humans and Xerthians was only just beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same. A fragile alliance. The tension between the humans and the Xerthians was palpable as Captain Davis and her landing party were led deeper into the Xerthian outpost. The metallic corridors of the facility seemed to stretch endlessly, illuminated by an eerie, cold light that made everything appear sterile and unwelcoming. High Commander Zarek moved with a precision that mirrored the advanced technology of his people, his every step echoing in the silence. As they walked, Captain Davis couldn't help but notice the stark differences between their two species. The Zerthians were methodical, calculating in every action, while humans, with their unpredictable nature, were driven by curiosity and emotion. This fundamental difference was both a potential strength and a looming threat to any cooperation between them. Finally, they arrived at a large chamber filled with holographic displays and advanced equipment. Jarek gestured toward the central console, where a detailed map of the surrounding star systems was projected. "This," he began, his tone neutral, "is the extent of our exploration in this sector. We have identified several planets with potential for colonization, but certain anomalies have hindered our progress." Captain Davis studied the map carefully. The anomalies Zarek mentioned were marked with ominous red symbols, each representing a potential threat or obstacle. "What kind of anomalies are we dealing with?" she asked, trying to gauge the situation. Zarek's eyes narrowed slightly, as if weighing how much to reveal. "Gravitational disturbances, energy fluctuations, and unknown entities. These phenomena are beyond our current understanding, and they pose a significant risk to any exploratory mission." Commander Ethan Cole, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. "We have encountered similar issues in our own explorations. Perhaps we could combine our efforts to better understand these anomalies." Zarek turned his gaze to Commander Cole, studying him intently. "You propose a joint operation. Interesting. However, trust between our species is limited." Captain Davis saw the opportunity and seized it. "Trust is earned through cooperation, Commander Zarek. We may be different, but that doesn't mean we can't learn from each other. If we pool our resources and knowledge, we might be able to overcome these challenges together." There was a long pause as Zarek considered her words. The Zerthians were not known for alliances, especially not with a species as unpredictable as humans. But something in Davis's unwavering confidence seemed to resonate with him. "Very well," Zarek finally said. "We will conduct a joint mission to investigate the nearest anomaly. This will be a test of your capabilities and your intentions." Captain Davis nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "Agreed. We will prove that humanity is a valuable ally." With the terms set, preparations for the mission began immediately. The crew of the Voyager and the Zerthian scientists worked side by side, sharing data and strategies. It was a strange sight, the two species collaborating so closely, but there was also a sense of cautious optimism. For the first time, humans and Zerthians were united in a common goal, even if the alliance was fragile and fraught with uncertainty. As the joint mission took shape, Captain Davis and High Commander Zarek found themselves in frequent discussions, each trying to understand the other's perspective. Zarek, though still wary, couldn't deny his growing respect for the human captain's determination and resourcefulness. Davis, in turn, was intrigued by Zarek's logical mind and the advanced technology at his disposal. The day of the mission arrived. The combined human and Zerthian fleet, a sight that would have been unimaginable just days before, set out toward the nearest anomaly. The journey was tense, with every crew member aware that this mission could either solidify the alliance or end it in disaster. As they approached the anomaly, the sensors began to pick up unusual readings. The space around them seemed to warp and shift, distorting reality itself. Energy spikes flickered across their screens, and the gravitational pull fluctuated wildly, making navigation a perilous challenge. "Steady, everyone," Captain Davis ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos. "Zarek, do you have any insights on what we're dealing with?" Zarek's fingers danced across the console, analyzing the data. "It appears to be a rift in space-time, likely caused by the interaction of multiple high-energy sources. We must stabilize it before we can proceed further." "Suggestions?" Davis asked, knowing that time was of the essence. "We need to create a counter-frequency to neutralize the energy fluctuations," Zarek replied. Your ship's engines could generate the necessary resonance, but it will require precise synchronization with our systems. Davis didn't hesitate. Let's do it. Commander Cole, get our engineers on it immediately. The two species, working in unison, began the delicate process of synchronizing their technology. It was a race against time, as the rift grew increasingly unstable. But in that moment, the differences between humans and Xerthians seemed to fade, replaced by a shared determination to succeed. As the counter-frequency was activated, the rift began to stabilize, the chaotic energy patterns smoothing out. The space around them returned to normal, and the anomaly that had once been an insurmountable obstacle was now under control. "We did it," Jarek said, his voice betraying a hint of admiration. "You humans are indeed resourceful." "And you Xerthians aren't so bad yourselves," Davis replied with a slight smile. "This is just the beginning, Zarek. Together, there's no limit to what we can achieve." The success of the mission marked a turning point in human-Xerthian relations. The alliance, once fragile, began to solidify as both species realized the potential of their cooperation. But as they would soon discover, the galaxy was filled with even greater challenges that would test the strength of their newfound partnership in ways they could never have anticipated. Shadows of the past. The success of the joint mission to stabilize the anomaly sent ripples of excitement through both human and Xerthian ranks. For the first time, a sense of camaraderie began to take root. But as they celebrated their victory, shadows from the past began to surface, threatening to unravel the delicate alliance they had just begun to forge. Back on the Voyager, Captain Davis was in her quarters, reviewing the data collected during the mission. The anomaly that was stabilized was far from understood. It was unlike anything they had encountered before, a rift in space-time that seemed to defy all known laws of physics. The implications were staggering, and Davis knew that this was only the beginning of a much larger mystery. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft chime. The door slid open to reveal Commander Cole, his expression unusually serious. "Captain, we've received a transmission from Earth. It's marked as top priority." Davis set aside her tablet and nodded. "Patch it through." The screen flickered to life, displaying the familiar face of Admiral Sarah Whittaker, the head of Earth's Space Command. Her stern expression immediately put Davis on edge. "Captain Davis, congratulations on the success of your mission," Admiral Whittaker began, though her tone lacked warmth. "However, we have a situation that requires your immediate attention." Davis straightened in her chair. "What's happened, Admiral?" "We've intercepted communications from a rogue human faction, the New Dawn. They were a fringe group that we thought had been disbanded years ago, but it appears they've resurfaced. They've been operating in the shadows, and their recent activities suggest they might be planning something drastic." "New Dawn," Davis repeated, frowning. She had heard of them, a group of extremists who believed that humanity should conquer and dominate rather than cooperate with other species. Their ideology had been widely condemned, and they were thought to have been neutralized. What do they want? Admiral Whittaker's expression darkened. "They're not happy about our alliance with the Xerthians. In fact, they view it as a betrayal of humanity's strength. Their rhetoric is becoming increasingly dangerous, and we believe they may attempt to sabotage our cooperation with the Xerthians." Davis felt a cold knot form in her stomach. The alliance was fragile enough as it was. Any interference from a rogue faction could be disastrous. "Do we have any leads on their location or plans?" "Not yet," Whittaker admitted, frustration evident in her voice. "But we're working on it. In the meantime, you need to be vigilant. The New Dawn might try to contact or infiltrate your crew. Trust no one outside of your immediate circle." "I understand, Admiral," Davis replied, her mind already racing with the implications. "We'll take every precaution." The transmission ended, leaving Davis staring at the blank screen. She turned to Commander Cole, who had been silently watching the exchange. "This complicates things," she said quietly. Cole nodded. The last thing we need is internal dissent while we're trying to build trust with the Xerthians. We'll have to tread carefully, Dagus agreed. Keep this between us for now. I don't want to start a panic, but we need to be ready for anything. As the days passed, the Voyager continued its mission alongside the Xerthians, exploring new star systems and studying the anomalies that seemed to plague the region. On the surface, everything appeared to be going smoothly, but Davis couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The presence of the new dawn loomed over her like a dark cloud, and she knew it was only a matter of time before they made their move. Her suspicions were confirmed when a coded message appeared in her private inbox. It was an old Earth encryption, one that hadn't been used in years. Davis's heart raced as she decoded the message, her hands trembling slightly. The message was short and to the point. Captain Davis, we know what you're up to. Humanity comes first. Join us, or face the consequences. New Dawn. Dagus leaned back in her chair, her mind reeling. The New Dawn had somehow managed to infiltrate their communications, and they were brazen enough to threaten her directly. She quickly encrypted the message and forwarded it to Admiral Whitaker with a brief note before erasing all traces from her system. She knew she had to act fast. The New Dawn was clearly more organized and dangerous than she had anticipated, and their presence posed an immediate threat to the mission. But she couldn't afford to let fear cloud her judgment. If the Xerthians suspected any internal conflict among the humans, it could shatter the fragile alliance. Calling a meeting with her senior officers, Davis laid out the situation. We've received credible intelligence that a rogue human faction known as the New Dawn is planning to sabotage our alliance with the Xerthians. They've already contacted me with a threat. We need to be on high alert. Commander Cole was the first to speak. Do you think they have agents on board the Voyager? It's possible, Davis replied grimly. Which is why we need to be careful. Trust no one outside of this room. We can't let them undermine what we've built here. Lieutenant Harper, the ship's security officer, nodded. I'll increase security protocols and run background checks on all personnel. If there are any anomalies, we'll find them. Good, Davis said. And Commander Cole, I want you to monitor all communications closely. If the New Dawn tries to contact anyone else on this ship, I want to know about it immediately. As the meeting adjourned, Davis couldn't shake the sense of unease that had settled over her. The New Dawn was a threat she couldn't ignore, but she also knew that revealing too much to the Xerthians could destroy the trust they had worked so hard to build. It was a delicate balancing act, one that could determine the fate of the entire alliance. But even as she strategized and prepared for the worst, Davis knew that the real challenge was yet to come. The New Dawn was out there, waiting for the right moment to strike, and when they did, the fragile peace between humans and Xerthians would be put to the ultimate test. The silent infiltration. The tension aboard the Voyager was palpable. While the crew continued their work, studying anomalies and exploring uncharted regions, an undercurrent of unease flowed through the ship. Captain Davis's warning about the New Dawn had been kept under wraps, but whispers of something amiss began to circulate among the crew. In the confined spaces of the ship, secrets were hard to keep. Commander Cole sat in the dimly lit communications room, his eyes fixed on the stream of encrypted data flowing across his screen. Every message, every transmission was scrutinized for any sign of New Dawn interference. It was a painstaking process, but Cole knew that any slip-up could spell disaster for the mission. The door to the communications room slid open, and Lieutenant Harper stepped in, her expression as serious as ever. Any luck? She asked, taking a seat beside Cole. Cole shook his head. Nothing yet, but I got a bad feeling about this. They're too quiet. Harper nodded, her hand instinctively resting on the weapon holstered at her side. I've doubled the security checks and implemented random screenings, but if they've already got someone on board, it's going to be tough to root them out without causing a panic. Agreed, Cole replied, his voice low. We need to be subtle. If the Xerthians catch wind of any internal conflict, it could jeopardize everything. As they continued their conversation, the ship's AI system, Orion, suddenly chimed in. "Commander Cole, Lieutenant Harper, I've detected an unauthorized access attempt on Deck 12, Section C. The intruder's identity is currently unknown." Cole's eyes narrowed. "Deck 12, that's the cargo hold. What's stored down there?" Harper's brow furrowed. "Mostly supplies and equipment for the Zerthian research teams. Nothing particularly sensitive, but we can't take any chances." "Let's go," Cole said, standing up quickly. "We need to handle this quietly." The two officers made their way to Deck 12, moving swiftly through the narrow corridors. As they approached the cargo hold, they slowed their pace, drawing their weapons. The door to the hold was ajar, the faint hum of machinery the only sound in the otherwise silent corridor. Cole signaled to Harper, and they moved in, weapons at the ready. The cargo hold was dimly lit, rows of crates and containers casting long shadows across the floor. They scanned the room, searching for any sign of movement. "There," Harper whispered, pointing to a figure crouched behind a stack of crates. The person was dressed in a standard-issue uniform, but something about their posture and movements seemed off. Cole stepped forward, his voice firm. "Stand down and identify yourself." The figure froze for a moment, then slowly rose to their feet. As they turned to face Cole and Harper, the intruder's face became visible, a young crew member, their eyes wide with fear. "Please, don't shoot," the crew member stammered, raising their hands in surrender. Harper kept her weapon trained on the intruder, her eyes narrowing. "What are you doing down here?" The crew member swallowed hard, visibly shaking. I was just following orders." Cole exchanged a glance with Harper before stepping closer. "Whose orders?" The crew member hesitated, glancing nervously around the room. "I don't know their name. They contacted me through a secure channel. Said they were part of a special task force working to protect humanity's interests. They told me to access the Zerthian data logs stored down here and upload a virus." "A virus?" Harper echoed, her grip tightening on her weapon. "What kind of virus?" "I don't know," the crew member replied, tears welling up in their eyes. "They didn't tell me. I just wanted to help. They said it was for the good of humanity." Cole's expression hardened. "You've been manipulated. The people who contacted you are part of the New Dawn, a rogue faction trying to sabotage our alliance with the Zerthians." The crew member's eyes widened in shock. No, that can't be true. They said." "They lied," Harper interrupted, her tone stern but not unkind. "You need to tell us everything you know, or more lives could be at risk." The crew member nodded slowly, realization dawning on their face. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. I thought I was doing the right thing." Cole lowered his weapon slightly. "We'll deal with this, but you need to come with us. You're going to tell the captain everything." As they escorted the shaken crew member back to the bridge, Davis was already waiting for them. She listened carefully as the crew member recounted the details of their interaction with the New Dawn operatives. The captain's expression remained unreadable as she absorbed the information. "You've done the right thing by coming forward," Davis finally said, her voice calm. "But this is far from over. The New Dawn is more deeply embedded than we thought. We need to move quickly before they can do any more damage." Turning to Harper, Davis continued, "Secure the Zerthian data logs and run a full diagnostic on our systems. I want to know if any part of that virus was uploaded. And Commander Cole, increase surveillance across all channels. We can't afford any more surprises." As her officers moved to carry out her orders, Davis felt a growing sense of urgency. The New Dawn was playing a dangerous game, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The alliance with the Zerthians was fragile, and any misstep could shatter it completely. Back in her quarters later that evening, Davis stared out at the stars, her mind racing. The New Dawn's influence had reached further than she had anticipated, and their next move could be catastrophic. But she also knew that they had underestimated her crew, and their commitment to preserving the fragile peace that had been forged. Davis knew that the coming days would test them all in ways they had never imagined. The New Dawn's threat was real, and their determination to undermine the alliance was evident. But Davis was equally determined to protect what they had built, even if it meant making sacrifices along the way. As she prepared for the challenges ahead, Davis steeled herself with the knowledge that the future of humanity and their place in the galaxy depended on the choices they made in the coming days. The silent infiltration was just the beginning. The real battle was yet to come, the hidden agenda. The corridors of the Voyager were eerily quiet as Captain Davis convened a secret meeting with her senior officers. The ship had been on high alert since the discovery of the New Dawn infiltrator, and the tension among the crew was palpable. Everyone knew that something was wrong, but only a select few were aware of the full extent of the threat. Commander Cole, Lieutenant Harper, and Dr. Bennett gathered in the captain's quarters, the dim lighting casting long shadows across their faces. Davis stood at the head of the table, her expression resolute as she addressed her team. "We've confirmed that the New Dawn virus was partially uploaded to our systems," Davis began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Orion has managed to contain it for now, but there's no telling what other contingencies the New Dawn may have in place. We need to assume they have more agents aboard." Cole nodded, his jaw clenched in determination. "We've increased surveillance, but with so many crew members and civilians on board, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack." Harper leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "We need to think like them. What's their endgame? Sabotaging the Alliance is their primary goal, but there has to be more to it." Dr. Bennett, who had been quietly analyzing data on his tablet, looked up with a grim expression. "I've been going over the crew manifest and cross-referencing it with recent behavior patterns. There's something odd about a few individuals, subtle changes in routine, interactions that don't quite fit. It's possible they've been compromised." Davis considered this, her mind racing through the possibilities. The New Dawn operatives were clearly well-trained and highly motivated. If they were willing to sabotage the mission, they might also be planning something more direct, something that could cripple the Voyager and endanger the entire crew. "We need to neutralize these threats before they can act," Davis said, her tone leaving no room for doubt. "But we also need to do it quietly. If the Zerthians sense any instability, it could unravel everything we've worked for." Harper exchanged a glance with Cole. "I suggest we set up a false operation, something that would draw out the New Dawn agents. If they think they have a chance to strike, they might reveal themselves." Cole nodded in agreement. "It's risky, but it could work. We could stage a scenario where we're about to transmit critical data to the Zerthians. If they take the bait, we'll have them." Davis considered the plan, weighing the risks. "All right, we'll proceed with the decoy operation, but I want everyone to be on high alert. We can't afford any mistakes." As the officers left to prepare for the operation, Davis remained in her quarters, her thoughts heavy. The stakes were higher than ever, and she knew that the next few hours could determine the fate of their mission, and possibly the future of humanity's relationship with the Zerthians. The decoy operation was set to take place in the ship's main communications hub, a high-security area where only senior officers had access. The plan was simple: make it appear as though critical data was being transmitted to the Zerthians, with the expectation that the New Dawn agents would attempt to interfere. Harper and Cole positioned themselves in the hub, monitoring the encrypted data stream that was being prepared for transmission. Orion, the ship's AI, played a crucial role in the operation, creating a realistic but false transmission that would lure the infiltrators out of hiding. As the countdown to the transmission began, Harper's nerves were on edge. She knew that any slip-up could expose the operation, but she also knew that they had no other choice. The New Dawn agents had to be stopped before they could do any more damage. "Orion," Cole said quietly, "keep an eye on all communications channels. If you detect any unauthorized activity, alert us immediately." "Understood, Commander," Orion replied in its calm, synthesized voice. all systems are being monitored closely. The seconds ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. Harper's eyes flicked across the monitors, searching for any sign of interference. The decoy transmission was about to go live, and they needed to be ready for anything. Suddenly, a red warning light flashed on one of the consoles. Orion's voice came through the speakers, more urgent this time. Unauthorized access detected in the engineering bay. Someone is attempting to disable the ship's power grid. Cole's eyes widened in alarm. That's our cue. Let's move. Harper and Cole raced towards the engineering bay, their weapons at the ready. If the New Dawn agents managed to disable the power grid, it would leave the Voyager vulnerable, potentially trapping them in deep space with no way to call for help. As they reached the bay, they found the door already ajar. Cole signaled for Harper to cover him as he carefully pushed the door open, revealing a chaotic scene inside. Several crew members lay unconscious on the floor, and a figure in a crew uniform was frantically working at one of the control panels. "Step away from the controls," Cole shouted, his weapon trained on the figure. The saboteur turned to face them, a look of cold determination in their eyes. They didn't say a word, but instead, they moved to activate a hidden device on their wrist. "Stop," Harper ordered, but it was too late. A surge of electricity arced across the room as the device activated, sending a shockwave through the control systems. Alarms blared as the ship's power grid began to destabilize, lights flickering ominously. Cole fired, striking the saboteur in the shoulder and sending them crashing to the ground. Harper rushed forward, but the damage had already been done. The control panels sparked and hissed as the power grid continued to fluctuate. "Orion, stabilize the power grid," Harper shouted, her voice barely audible over the noise. Attempting to stabilize, Orion replied, its voice strained. "Damage is extensive. Power grid will fail in 60 seconds if not repaired." Cole cursed under his breath as he moved to the control panel, frantically trying to override the saboteur's actions. "We need to reset the main power conduit. Harper, get to the auxiliary control room and reroute the power. I'll handle things here." Harper didn't hesitate, sprinting towards the auxiliary control room. She could feel the ship trembling as the power grid teetered on the brink of collapse. If they couldn't stabilize it in time, the Voyager would be left adrift in the void. As she reached the auxiliary control room, Harper quickly accessed the control interface, her fingers flying across the keys. She could see the power levels dropping rapidly, the main conduit on the verge of a critical failure. "Orion, reroute all secondary power systems to the main grid," she ordered, her voice tense. "We need to buy ourselves more time." "Rerouting secondary power," Orion confirmed. "Main power grid stabilization in progress." Back in the engineering bay, Cole worked furiously to reset the conduit. Sweat dripped down his forehead as he entered the final command sequence, praying that it would be enough. Come on," he muttered under his breath. The power levels fluctuated wildly for a moment, and then, with a final surge, the grid began to stabilize. The lights stopped flickering, and the alarms gradually silenced. Cole let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "We did it," he said, relief flooding through him. Harper's voice crackled over the comms. "Power grid stabilized, but we're not out of the woods yet. We need to find out what else they've sabotaged." "Agreed," Cole replied, glancing down at the unconscious saboteur. "We'll get answers out of this one. They won't get away with this." As the ship's systems returned to normal, Davis received the report from Cole and Harper. The sabotage had been a close call, but the decoy operation had worked. The New Dawn agents had been exposed, but Davis knew that this was only the beginning. The New Dawn's hidden agenda was more dangerous than they had anticipated, and the fight to protect the Alliance was far from over. The Voyager had survived the immediate threat, but the shadow of the New Dawn loomed large. With the saboteur in custody, Davis hoped to uncover the full extent of their plan. The stakes were higher than ever, and the future of the Alliance, and possibly the galaxy, depended on their next moves. The Reckoning. The captured New Dawn agent sat restrained in the Voyager's brig, their face impassive despite the severity of their situation. Captain Davis stood outside the containment field, her expression hardened by the countless decisions she'd made to keep her crew safe. But this was different. This was personal. The New Dawn had infiltrated her ship, endangered her crew, and jeopardized a mission critical to humanity's future. Lieutenant Harper and Commander Cole flanked her, both keenly aware of the tension in the room. They knew what was at stake. The agent held the key to unraveling the New Dawn's entire operation. Davis activated the intercom, her voice cold and direct. "You're going to tell us everything, who you're working with, what their plan is, and how many more of you are on board." The agent met her gaze, unflinching. "You think you've won because you caught me. You're deluded, Captain. The New Dawn is everywhere. We're in your systems, in your ranks. By the time you figure it out, it'll be too late." Harper's fists clenched at the agent's arrogance, but Davis remained composed. "Maybe, but if you think we'll sit back and let you tear down everything we've built, you're the one who's deluded. We will find every last one of you, and when we do, there will be no escape." The agent smirked. "You have no idea what's coming." Davis leaned in, her eyes narrowing. "Then why don't you enlighten us?" The agent's smirk faded, replaced by a steely resolve. "Because you wouldn't understand. Your kind never does. You think this is just about politics or power. No, this is about survival. The New Dawn is the only hope for humanity, true humanity." Davis exchanged a glance with Cole. The New Dawn's rhetoric was well known, but hearing it directly from one of their agents gave the chilling immediacy. The agent's fervor was real, and that made them all the more dangerous. "We'll see about that," Davis said, turning to Cole. "Commander, prepare the enhanced interrogation protocols. Let's see how strong their convictions are under pressure." As the interrogation began, Davis returned to the bridge, where the tension was palpable. The Voyager had been through countless challenges, but this felt different. The New Dawn's infiltration had shaken the crew's confidence, and Davis knew she had to act swiftly to restore it. "Orion, give me a status update on the ship's systems," she ordered as she stepped onto the bridge. "Captain, all systems are stable. The power grid has been fully restored, and I've initiated a comprehensive diagnostic to check for any further tampering. No anomalies detected so far." "Good," Davis replied. "What about communications? Any unusual activity?" "None, Captain. All communications channels are secure. I've also implemented additional encryption protocols to prevent any unauthorized access." Davis nodded, though the lingering unease gnawed at her. The New Dawn had been brazen in their attack, but she knew they were far from defeated. If anything, the failed sabotage would likely embolden them. "We need to stay one step ahead," Davis said, mostly to herself. Then, turning to her crew, she raised her voice. "We've been compromised, but that doesn't mean we're beaten. The New Dawn thinks they can undermine us, but they're wrong. We're going to root them out, expose their plans, and show them that the Voyager is not so easily brought down." Her words seemed to bolster the crew, a renewed sense of purpose filling the bridge. Davis felt the weight of leadership heavier than ever, but she welcomed it. The mission was too important, and she wasn't about to let some fringe extremists derail it. In the brig, the interrogation was in full swing. The New Dawn agent resisted at first, but as the protocols intensified, their resolve began to crack. Commander Cole and Lieutenant Harper watched as the agent's bravado gave way to fear, their defiance eroding under the relentless pressure. "You can end this," Harper said, her tone firm, but not without compassion. "Tell us what we need to know, and it'll stop." The agent looked up, sweat beading on their forehead, their breathing ragged. You don't understand. It's already in motion. Even if I tell you, it won't matter." "Try us," Cole said, his voice hard. "What's the New Dawn planning?" How many of you are on board? The agent hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing their features. There are more. 2, maybe 3. They're waiting for the signal. What signal? Harper pressed. The main event. It's not just sabotage. It's a takeover. Cole's eyes narrowed. What do you mean, a takeover of the ship? The agent shook their head weakly. No, of the Alliance. The summit. We're going to destroy it. Make sure no one gets out alive. Harper and Cole exchanged a shocked glance. The summit was the keystone of the Alliance, a gathering of the most powerful leaders from across the galaxy. If the New Dawn succeeded, it would plunge the galaxy into chaos. How? Harper demanded. How are they planning to do this? The agent's voice was barely a whisper. A bomb. They've planted it. On the Voyager, you can't stop it. It's too late. Cole's heart pounded as he turned to Harper. We need to find that bomb, now. Harper was already moving, her mind racing through the possibilities. Orion, initiate a ship-wide scan for any unauthorized devices. Focus on areas with restricted access. Scanning, Orion replied, its voice tense with the urgency of the situation. Davis re-entered the brig, her face grim as she heard the agent's confession. Is it true? A bomb on board? Cole nodded. That's what they're saying. We're scanning for it now. Davis's mind raced. A bomb on the Voyager could not only destroy the ship, but also take out the entire summit if they didn't act fast. How long do we have? The agents slumped in their restraints, their energy drained. It's set to go off when you reach the rendezvous point. The captain's blood ran cold. The Voyager was less than 12 hours from the rendezvous point with the Zerthians and the other Alliance members. If they didn't find the bomb soon, it would be catastrophic. Orion, Davis snapped. What's the status of the scan? Still in progress, Captain, Orion responded. No unauthorized devices detected in the primary areas so far, expanding the search to secondary systems and maintenance areas. Harper, Cole, I need you to lead the search teams. We need to find that bomb before we reach the rendezvous point. Harper and Cole nodded, both of them moving swiftly to assemble teams to sweep the ship. Davis knew that every second counted. The New Dawn was playing a deadly game, and the Voyager was running out of time. As the search for the bomb intensified, the tension aboard the Voyager reached a fever pitch. Teams combed through every corner of the ship, checking for any sign of the device. Harper led one team through the engineering sections, while Cole focused on the cargo bays and maintenance tunnels. Anything? Harper asked, her voice tight with anxiety. Nothing yet, one of the engineers replied, his face drawn with worry. We're checking the conduits now, but so far no sign of any explosives. Harper's frustration grew with each passing minute. The Voyager was vast, and the New Dawn could have hidden the bomb anywhere, if they didn't find it soon. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden alarm from Orion. Captain, I've detected an anomaly in the forward cargo bay. It appears to be an unauthorized device attached to the environmental control systems. Davis's heart leaped into her throat. Get a team down there now. Harper, already closest to the cargo bay, sprinted toward the location with her team in tow. They reached the bay and quickly located the device, a small, unassuming box attached to the main control panel. Is that it? One of the security officers asked, eyeing the device warily. Harper carefully examined it, her hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her. Looks like it. Orion, can you analyze this? Analyzing, Orion replied. After a moment, it added, it's a high-yield explosive device. It's rigged to detonate when the ship reaches the rendezvous point. Can you disarm it? Davis's voice crackled over the comms, filled with urgency. Harper took a deep breath. I can try. But if it's booby-trapped, one wrong move could set it off. Do it, Davis ordered, the weight of the decision heavy in her voice. We don't have a choice. Harper nodded, her focus laser-sharp. She carefully began to dismantle the device, her hands moving with precision as she disconnected the wires one by one. The seconds stretched into what felt like an eternity as she worked, the rest of the team holding their breath. Finally, with one last delicate movement, Harper cut the final wire. The device's timer, which had been steadily counting, the final stand. As the Voyager approached the rendezvous point, the tension aboard the ship was palpable. The crew, though relieved by the disarmament of the bomb, remained on high alert. They had narrowly escaped one disaster, but the New Dawn's infiltration had cast a long shadow over their mission. Captain Davis stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the stars ahead. The rendezvous with the Zerthians and other Alliance members was crucial. This summit was more than just a diplomatic meeting. It was the culmination of months of hard work, negotiations, and collaboration. Failure was not an option. Orion's status report, Davis said, her voice steady but carrying the weight of their shared concern. All systems are functioning within normal parameters, Orion responded. We are on course for the rendezvous point. The summit's coordinates are locked in, and there are no further anomalies detected. Good, Davis said, though she knew better than to relax. The New Dawn had shown themselves to be a cunning and dangerous adversary. Ensure that our security protocols are reinforced. We cannot afford any more surprises. Aye, Captain, Orion replied. In the cargo bay, Harper and Cole were busy checking and rechecking every corner. They had intensified the security measures, but the threat of another New Dawn attack lingered. The recent incident had underscored the need for vigilance. Think they'll try something else? Cole asked as he inspected a nearby maintenance hatch. It's possible, Harper replied. The New Dawn is relentless. They've shown that they're willing to go to great lengths to sabotage the summit. We need to be prepared for anything. Cole nodded, his face set in determination. We should also review the security footage, see if there's any indication of further tampering or unauthorized activity. Harper agreed. Let's get to it. As they worked, Davis convened a briefing with her senior officers. The goal was to review their strategy for the summit and ensure that every possible precaution had been taken. Listen up, Davis began, her voice commanding attention. We're approaching the rendezvous point. Our priority is to ensure the safety of the summit and our alliance partners. The New Dawn's threat has not been neutralized, only contained. We must remain vigilant. Lieutenant Harper and Commander Cole joined the meeting, their expressions serious. Harper spoke first. We've implemented additional security measures, but we need to remain cautious. The New Dawn is likely to have backup plans. Cole added, we're also reviewing all security footage and conducting thorough checks of all sensitive areas. We're doing everything we can to prevent any further breaches. Davis nodded, appreciative of their efforts. Good work. We also need to prepare for the summit itself. Make sure all communication channels are secure and brief the Alliance representatives on the recent events. Transparency will be key in maintaining trust. The officers agreed, and the briefing concluded. As they dispersed, Davis took a moment to reflect. The New Dawn's attempt to sabotage the summit had been a severe test of their resolve, but the unity and strength of the Voyager's crew had prevailed. Now they had to ensure that the summit went off without a hitch. The summit began smoothly, with representatives from various species arriving at the designated meeting place. The Voyager docked alongside the other ships, and the atmosphere was one of cautious optimism. Despite the recent threats, there was a palpable sense of hope in the air. Davis, Harper, and Cole attended the summit in a heightened state of alert. They watched as the representatives mingled, exchanged greetings, and prepared to discuss the future of the Alliance. The stakes were high, and the New Dawn's presence was a reminder of the dangers they faced. As the summit proceeded, Davis's communication devices buzzed with updates. The security teams reported no further incidents, and the checks confirmed that the Voyager was clear of any additional threats. Yet, the captain remained wary. During a break in the discussions, Davis took the opportunity to speak privately with some of the key representatives. "I want to assure you that the recent incident has been contained. We are fully committed to the success of this summit and the continued strength of our alliance." The representatives expressed their gratitude and understanding, acknowledging the efforts of the Voyager's crew. "Your dedication has been evident," one of them said. "It is through such perseverance that we will overcome these challenges." As the summit resumed, Davis watched with a mixture of pride and relief. The discussions were productive, and there was a renewed sense of cooperation among the attendees. The New Dawn's attempt to disrupt the Alliance had failed, and the unity of the summit was a testament to the resilience of the coalition. As the summit concluded, Davis and her crew prepared for their departure. The Voyager had successfully navigated the threat posed by the New Dawn and contributed to the strengthening of the Alliance. The event had reinforced their commitment to the values of cooperation and mutual respect. Davis stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The Voyager had faced many challenges, but it had emerged stronger. The threat of the New Dawn was not over, but the successful resolution of the summit was a significant victory. "Orion, set course for our next destination," Davis ordered. "We've accomplished a lot, but our mission continues." "Aye, Captain. Course set," Orion responded. As the Voyager embarked on its next journey, Davis knew that the road ahead would be filled with new challenges. But with her crew's unwavering dedication and the strength of their alliance, she felt a renewed sense of hope. The galaxy was vast and uncertain, but together they would face whatever came next with courage and determination. The New Dawn's threat had been a reminder of the dangers they faced, but it had also underscored the importance of unity and resilience. The crew of the Voyager had proven that even in the face of adversity, they could rise to the occasion and secure a brighter future for all. The story of their triumph and the Alliance's continued progress would be remembered as a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of collaboration. The New Dawn might have tried to sow discord, but their efforts had only served to strengthen the resolve of those who stood together. As the Voyager sailed through the stars, the future remained full of possibilities. And with every challenge they faced, the crew knew that their unity and determination would guide them through the darkness toward a brighter and more connected galaxy.